Now we're going to be looking at this first reading on this 31st Sunday. It's from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verses 2 to 6, which includes the famous Shema, the famous text which begins, listen, or hear. So now I'm going to read the text, and then we'll reflect on this notion of love for God, which will come up again in the Gospel, of course. This, as usual, this first reading prepares a background for the Gospel, as it always does. And the second reading goes its own way, has its own Lectio Continua, but it's not the same as the Gospel. And then the background text that's placed to throw light on the Gospel. All right. Moses spoke to the people, saying, "Fear the Lord your God." Now that doesn't mean be afraid of Him. It means be in awe of Him, but not afraid of Him. "And keep throughout the days of your lives all His statutes and commandments which I enjoin on you, and thus have long life." Now, in our democratic world, having laws and rules seems to be a great imposition. But you see, for the Jewish people, and hopefully for us, you see, it's a blessing. He tells us how to live. Like the Ten Commandments are an operator's manual. Live this way and you won't have a breakdown. Or as somebody else once said, it's like these are the edges of the table. Stay within those. That's why they're all don't. Don't go off the edge. You go into inhumanity when you do that. By killing, by committing adultery, by lying, by, and so forth. And so, you'll have a long life. Hear then, Israel, and be careful to observe them, that you may grow and prosper the more, in keeping with the promise of the Lord, the God of your fathers, to give you a land flowing with milk and honey. In other words, God said, look, come into this land. Now do what I tell you, and this land is yours in perpetuum, in perpetuity. This is your land. But you've got to do what I'm telling you. So, if that doesn't happen, then they lose their right to the land. Now, the second part of this passage that we have today is again Moses. And this is the part which becomes the prayer of Israel. And we're going to spend some time reflecting on it. It says, Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu Adonai Echad. The Lord is our God. The Lord Echad. Now, the Lord Echad, Adonai Echad, can mean the Lord is one. It can also mean the Lord alone. It means both. You see? Listen, Israel. Adonai, you see, is our God. Adonai Echad. No other God. Nothing else. No money should be your guide, God. No possessions. No pleasure. No power. Only God is God. Now that has been the reality which has kept Israel together for all these thousands of years. If you date it from the call of Moses and the law which was given there, we have nearly 3 millennia. The Jewish people have been in existence. No other people can say that. And what held them into existence is this Shema and all the things that are related to it. Listen. Now listen, you see, is different than hear. I can say to you, you say to me, are you listening to me? And I say, well, I hear you. Not the same, is it? Listen means I'm paying attention with the intention of doing something about it. Hear means, I get it. You're talking to me and you're saying, God is one. I got that. Shema Yisrael. You see? Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Now, that is still foundational. It's now, since the Lord has come in His flesh, we know that Adonai opens up, and there's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but there's still only one God in three persons. It took 4 centuries to finally be able to articulate that. So, this text goes on, therefore, you shall love the Lord your God. Now, it's a very interesting word. This word, ahav, is the normal word. V'achavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'kol levavecha, b'kol nafshecha, u'b'kol mo'odecha. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. Not half your heart. All your heart. It's an interesting text, I think it's Psalm 12, where he's talking about how insincere people talk. Lev v'lev yetaberu. They speak with heart and heart. They have a heart they're speaking from, but there's a heart in back of it. There's an agenda. And that's their real heart, this one. That's liar. That's liar. Smile, be nice, but what they're after is your money or something. See, they're lying. And that's in this beautiful phrase in the Psalm, Lev v'lev. He's got 2 hearts, not 1 heart. Not a unified heart. You see? If Adonai is Echad, then our heart has to be Echad. We have to one. You see? We have to love the Lord, b'kol levavecha, with all our heart. You see? With all our soul, and all our modecha, all our goods, how do they translate it in this text? All your strength. Yeah, but strength in the broad sense of the term. My money, my friends, my money, my physical health, your whole being. It's a beautiful story told about Rabbi Akiba, who lived in the time of the Roman occupation. There had just been the big revolt by Bar Kokhba against the Romans, and it was crushed. And the Romans said it's the studying of the Torah that gets these people all riled up. And so they said, from now on, there can be no teaching or study of Torah in Jerusalem or the environs. So they said that to Rabbi Akiba. He said, I'm born to teach Torah. That's all I do. He said, it's like a fox telling the fish, jump out of the water. It's nicer up here. There's sunshine and there's stuff to eat, but a fish out of water dies. And so Rabbi Akiba says, I would be a fish out of water if I didn't love, study, and teach Torah. So he went up to the north, where he thought he might be safe, and he wasn't. And they arrested him, and they were burning him on a gridiron. They were roasting him alive on this gridiron. And some of his disciples were standing close. It came time to sing the Shema. He began to sing the Shema. And they said to him, Master, now you're singing the Shema? He said, of course, this is the time. All my life I've wondered what it meant to love God with all my soul. Now I understand. And he died a martyr. All my physical energies, I give them all to God. I'm being killed, and I give them all to God. You see, and he's a martyr. But he's a martyr singing the Shema. To love God with everything I got. My whole heart, my attention, because, you see, the heart is the place within us. And this is beautifully developed by Robert Schwemann, a German philosopher. The heart of the human being is that place. He gets it. He says he grasps it philosophically, but it was indicated to him through the Bible. The lev, the heart, is that place where there is nothing between us and God. We are directly confronting God. Now we run away from that. We fill that with movies and parties and banquets and trips and vacation, anything, to avoid that face-to-face confrontation. Not a confrontation, it's a meeting with God. That's the lev, or cardia in the New Testament. That's the heart. So if I love God with all my heart, I don't have any other agendas. I'm not loving God because I hope to get rich or stay healthy. I love God because He's God. And you see, that's why Paul says in Ephesians, you see, to have the eyes of your heart open so that you can understand. He goes through these things you have to understand. So the heart, you see, is the very center of the person. And it's that place where we directly relate to God. And to say, therefore, that that's the place that we love God with all our heart means we have no agendas. We have nothing behind the heart we present to God. It's all right up there up front. I love you, God, with everything I have, everything I am. But you can well understand that that takes time because we're scattered. We like movies, we like power, we like pleasure, we like food, and so we're not centered on God. And that's the whole purpose of, for instance, in the monastic tradition. When is a man mature? When his mind dwells in his heart. When his heart is the source of the enlightenment of his mind. Then he's a unified human being. And his mind is directly relating to God. Of course, still not direct, it's not beatific vision, but it's that way that we relate to God with all our heart. Now this, for us, is a long struggle. We have so many agenda. We have so much self-seeking that we're always talking to God lev v'lev. We got two hearts going. The one we show Him and the one we got. And it takes the Lord's mercy. And one of the ways that this happens is through trial. Because if there's a difficulty and we stick close to God and don't say, I quit, I'm getting out of here, I don't like it, I'm going to go do something else for a living, I'm not going to pay any more attention to you, of course then our heart is scattered. It's useless. But if you say, I love you so much, I'm going to stick this out, and I'm going to be totally, directly responsible to you for my actions, my thoughts. You're going to know what I'm doing all the time, as you do anyway, but I'm going to know that you know. And I'm going to be that open before you. That's what it means to love the Lord with all your heart. Now with all your soul, it means with your forces, with your mind, your physical forces, as Rabbi Akiva discovered as they were killing him and roasting him in a fire. I love God with all my soul, all my vital principle. It's yours, God. It's yours. Take it any time you want. And then all my wealth, my strength, my friends, my house, my car, whatever, all of that. I love God with that too. That's all His. Nothing I have or am that doesn't belong to you, God. That's what love is all about.